Hi and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. Ask SCW back once again, answering your questions in the wrestling community. Taking your questions today from Twitter, but you can also follow me on, as well as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can even drop a comment here on YouTube and leave the hashtag AskSCW. Get your question set and ready for the next show. Go and check out Wrestle Customs as well 24/7. You can follow them on social media, and of course check out their website. As I say, they've got special promotions on this weekend for SummerSlam weekend, all custom-made championships at WWE style, including Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, and AEW championships are on the way as well. So go and check out Wrestle Customs 24/7 right now. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into the video. But first off, I want to give a shout out to Italian Habs Mike, who did ask a question regarding NXT TakeOver. And of course, this has been recorded now after NXT TakeOver. Unfortunately, time stopped me from recording this before the show, which was the original intention to do. So I do apologise to Italian Habs Mike on his question, but he wondered what surprises may have happened at the show. I did actually predict that Pat McAfee was going to beat Adam Cole, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but WWE likes to have their celebrities usually go over their actual current talent. So I'm pleased sanity prevailed. I'm pleased that Adam Cole actually won the match. I think that the match was, the takeover itself was completely solid. My results and review is up on the channel now, so go and check that out after you watch this video, of course. And yeah, I mean, thank you to everyone that's been watching that preview, or review I should say, so far. Really pleased to get so many people. Go and check that out, and hope give other videos a chance as well. But one other note that's come out of it, Karrion Kross looks to have been injured in the match, which may explain why that match was probably the weakest match of the evening. Perhaps that was quite early on in the match as well. Looks to be potentially a separated shoulder. I really hope Karrion Kross doesn't need surgery, because if he does, it's really going to be a dent for the time being, and it just felt like the biggest night of his career. It reminds you almost of Finn Balor 4 years ago with the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, and I would hate that to be the case with Kross as well. So let's hope the MRI comes back positive. Let's hope it's not surgery, and let's hope that Kross can remain NXT champion. But without further ado, let's take your questions, starting with the first one this week. This question comes from Austin Whitley, asking the first impressions of ThunderDome. Shout out as well to Everything Pro Wrestling, asking the same question. I must admit, I do feel that it was a very positive start, actually, with the ThunderDome. I felt that SmackDown this week certainly had a bit of buzz, a bit of excitement. It was good to see faces once again on the screens. Yes, it looked like a human game of Guess Who, but to be honest, I felt that everything just felt a bit better and a bit special again. It was in a bigger arena. We weren't trapped in the PC anymore. It just felt like watching a normal WWE event. Of course, yeah, it still lacked the real interaction of fans, and I think one of the minor parts that was a negative of this is that we had still kind of like the force audio. I do feel that in the PC it's better with the superstars banging on the plexiglass. You didn't really hear reactions from all these people on the Zoom. They all seemed to be kind of on mute, it felt. But overall, to have so many people watching this and seeing some form of reactions, even if it's like, you know, just a lot of floating heads, it still kind of felt like it was positive on the whole. So I was really pleased with that. I thought that the first show was positive. You felt that the superstars felt good about it as well. I felt that it was a spring in quite a few people's steps that perhaps we hadn't seen as much recently. And I liked what they tried to do with some of the storylines in some formats and formations. I mean, if you look at Retribution, I think that when you look at that, there's such a great opportunity there, and I'm surprised they didn't do it on SmackDown, but perhaps maybe they might do it tonight at SummerSlam, where you might see Retribution. You see, obviously, like the way that they're dressed, and just have that on all the screens taken over. I think that would be a pretty cool outlook, to be honest. And I mean, if it was to link with the hacker, they're already sort of having glitches, controlling of the lighting and stuff like that. That could be a way you could bring the hacker back in. So I would really love that if that was a possibility. I did predict that for my SummerSlam predictions as potentially what could be. You'll never see it coming. I hope that's what it's going to be, but we'll have to wait and see. But they've certainly got a lot more room to play with. You saw that backstage with Braun Strowman and the Fiend Bray Wyatt as well. There's just so much room to work with. Everything doesn't feel clustered and trapped in one little area anymore. You've got like a big space to work with, and I think that we're going to get a bit of fresher looking TV going forward. So on that note, I think that it's very positive, and my first impressions were really good. I did put a poll on as well, and 64% were actually in favour and happy with the ThunderDome so far. About 30% said it was too soon to tell, so only 6% of people on this poll didn't like it. So overall, I think it's got a glowing start, and I look forward to seeing if it will continue to carry its momentum within the superstars, the storylines, and everything else going forward. Next question comes from Dan the Man Williams, Mr. DWE. Do you think the ThunderDome will add a big new energy to WWE shows, and will it help with the ratings? Well, as I said in the last question, yeah, I do think it's given quite a few people spring in their step. We'll see if that continues with SummerSlam this weekend. Hopefully some big things are in store on that show, and it will continue through Raw as well. A lot of firsts this week that we'll see, and I wasn't surprised that it was put on SmackDown first of all the shows. Of course, that was the next show that needed to be taped, and also as well, WWE, they want to pop a rating. You mentioned it in the question yourself. Of course, the SummerSlam, it's on the network anyway. SmackDown, it's on Fox. They want to give these TV shows that they have on these TV stations, like the USA Network and Fox, they want to give them the rating. So it wasn't as a big surprise to me that it went on there first. The thing is with this is that it's going to work for the short term. People are going to get, familiar with it within a few weeks, and all of a sudden people will see, if you want not happiness with storylines, they'll see the same plot holes that they saw before. WWE needs to continue with creative booking and storytelling. And over the last couple of weeks, I think that more has hit the mist, if I'm being brutally honest. So I hope that they continue giving little teases, subtle teases with certain things. Maybe the Miz with Retribution seems like a fun tease. I don't think it's a part of it, but I like the way it's being teased. Certain things like that is certainly fun, and I hope they continue giving these different things going throughout on different shows. Because if they can give us fun, compelling shows to keep us watching, then it doesn't matter what they're doing in front of. Impact Wrestling is one of my favourite companies, and same with AEW. And I know AEW this week for the first time, I think, or is it next week, they're going to have the fans there for 15% capacity for the first time. So that will be exciting to see. But up until now, they've had, just the superstars around the ring. I've been happy with what they've done. It's given it that big feel. And yes, the ThunderDome gives it that feel, but the storylines and material still needs to be good. And I think WWE at parts have felt a bit lackluster in places this year, but in recent times it feels like they're trying, and I hope they can continue to try, because if they can hit the right things and give us the right stuff, I think that the viewership will go up naturally, and it won't just be the cause of the ThunderDome, but you may say it may be the starting point. Next questions come from Noob and Co. Which NXT star do you want to see drafted to Raw and SmackDown? And what views do you want to happen post SummerSlam? And who will Sasha and Bayley defend the women's tag team titles at Payback? Let's start at Payback. I think it's the easiest one, I think, possibly to answer. Well, Asuka and Shayna Baszler actually defeated the Golden Role Models this week on Raw. So my assumption is that Asuka, if she wins the Raw Women's Championship this evening, it can kick off that program with Shayna Baszler, and also as well that those women can also challenge for the tag team championships, almost like a mismatched tag team against Sasha and Bayley, who are kind of licking their wounds after a championship has been lost at SummerSlam, and they would have the fear of maybe having all the titles, or one of them at least having 2 titles, to potentially having none. I think that it's a fun storyline that can play at least for that 1 week. And I mean, there are other teams that you could put in the mix, maybe Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. There's been a bit of Twitter feuding going on there with Bayley, I've seen over the past week, but they still got something going on with the Iconics. I don't see multi-teams involved here, so I think that if they want the big match, even though perhaps it's not the strongest team and it's not really what you want for the tag team division, I think that they will do what they do sometimes with the singles men's stars, and you'll have 2 people thrown together. Asuka is the one they trust as well. She's in both matches at SummerSlam for a reason, it feels here. That's the most trusted people they have on their roster, and I think it's the biggest matches they can put out. So I think it will be Sasha and Bayley against Asuka and Shayna Baszler. As for NXT stars moving to Raw and SmackDown, personally for me, Keith Lee is the shoe-in, really. I mean, he's lost now his NXT Championship, and I think, personally, I'd love to see Karrion Kross really up there as well, but as we said earlier in the video, perhaps could be injured at this particular time, and plus he's NXT Champion. You don't want to see another person throw the belt away in just 45 days. But Keith Lee, he's had his time in NXT, he's had the magic moment. I want to see him on SmackDown. I think feuds with the likes of Braun Strowman, The Fiend, Roman Reigns, they're all there for you, and I think that they can make some great storytelling there as well. Keith Lee, for me, has it. He needs to be on the main roster ASAP. I think that he can be a face of the company within first year, 2 years of even being there. I even want to see Keith Lee, Brock Lesnar. So there's many matches I want to see. I hope you guys want to see those matches as well. As for the women's division, Rhea Ripley is the standout for me. I reckon that we'll get a takeover match with her and Io Shirai at the next takeover. I expect Io to retain, and I expect Rhea Ripley to be moved up. I would be happy to see both of them there, and I wouldn't mind seeing, in some ways, maybe someone that's maybe in the undercard, maybe Mia Yim potentially could be moved up, because I don't see her win the NXT Championship anytime soon. She could add some depth to perhaps Raw or SmackDown, depending what one Keith Lee goes to. So she would be one that I'd like to see move up as well. I think that would not be a bad shout. As for rivalries post SummerSlam, I think we'll get a lot of rematches, if I'm being brutally honest. I don't expect The Fiend and Braun to finish yet. We'll know more after tonight. The Tag Team Championship match, I expect. For Payback as well, I think we'll get Matt Riddle and King Corbin. Maybe we might get a rematch with perhaps, Big E and Sheamus, maybe from SmackDown if they want to carry that on. From the Raw side, I expect Apollo, if he retains, to perhaps go against Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. Perhaps a Tag Team Championship match we might get as well. We'll have to wait and see. But they're even teasing with the breakup of the Lucha House Party, so maybe that could be a kickoff match or something. I don't know. But there's lots of different ways and variables it can go, but I expect the big matches. The event next is Payback, so I expect that a lot of the feuds we've got, I expect them to carry on, especially the big money matches. So if we've got, say, The Fiend and Braun, and we've got Drew and Orton, and then we've got the Women's Tag Team Championship match, I think that they're your big three matches you can expect at Payback this time next week. And before I move on, I'm going to actually make a decision as well here now, that actually for the Payback predictions, usually I like to get them out quite early. We're probably not even going to know the match card till probably like the day before, so next Saturday will be the Payback predictions video. I know it's very tight near the pay-per-view, and I know that you guys, it sometimes is, if you can check it out, I'm very grateful. But obviously, I want to give as good of content as possible, as up to date as possible. So for this one, as it's only a 1 week build, I want to have it as tight to the pay-per-view as possible. For the other questions now, we've got everything pro wrestling. What company has your interest most right now and why? And what do you want to see happen with the AEW tag titles at All Out? Well, I find good and bad in every company. I must admit, I'm a WWE guy growing up. I love my sports entertainment. I can't lie with that. But I do feel that during the pandemic and the PC era that we've had, I have felt quite a bit of it lackluster. I'm enjoying the improvement of we're getting in storylines in recent times, but still it's not enough to take the ultimate for me. I am a casual New Japan fan, but I always really enjoy it when I watch it. For me, the ones that stand out, I do enjoy NXT. I love that it's kind of got a dark dynamic. I kind of feel that it's lost its identity as a brand, but the brand that we're still being presented, I really like. Impact Wrestling, I love what they're doing with, Slammiversary. They've got a lot of hype on what they're doing, and they are doing some great things that stand out in the product as well. I really think Eric Young has been head and shoulders since coming into Impact Wrestling, has really made himself stand out. Deonna Purrazzo, exactly the same. I can't wait for a match with Jordan Grace this week for Emergence Night 2. I think it's going to be spectacular. Really is going to be something special. And I'm a big fan of the North. I love Ethan Page in particular. I think that he is, a ready-made superstar of the future. I can't wait to see what he's going to do throughout his career and watch it, unfold over perhaps the next 10 or so, 15 years or so. I think there's going to be something magic to hold. But my answer for you is going to be AEW, and my reasoning for it is that I think that a lot more than not, they always bring the fun factor back into wrestling. They perhaps maybe could do more to emphasis on their women's division, but hey, they've been going less than 12 months on a weekly television show. Do they need to do more for that? Yes, but I do feel they're trying to address that in some ways. Yes, I mean, they've done the Deadly Draw. Yes, it was on YouTube. Had they had perhaps a 20-minute match every week on Dynamite, perhaps you'd turn around and say, well, you'd let them go, wouldn't you? But because of the fact that they haven't, and they've had some shorter matches, less emphasis, maybe been unlucky with 1 or 2 injuries and a couple of people like Riho not being able to attend shows, maybe those sort of things have hindered it a little bit. But with the stuff that we do see, let's look at the things we do get. I mean, Cody has been amazing with the TNT Championship up until this point. I know Dynamite was last night. If I've seen the spoiler correctly, then I know that may have changed, but I've unfortunately not had the chance to see last night's Dynamite with TakeOver, and just life in general, unfortunately, has not given me that opportunity. I hope to check out before SummerSlam, so I do apologise if anything is not 100% on point on this particular talk about AEW today. But I do think the Young Bucks, Butcher and the Blade, their match was absolutely awesome the other week. They just, even the 12-man tag, they found a way to get everybody over in the match when they did the Elite FTR, against the Dark Order, and just things like that. They find ways of putting people over, even when people are not winners. And I think that that's the key that you need to do to keep everybody strong in amongst your booking. And I think AEW right now is the strongest company at doing that. As for the Tag Team Championships, providing nothing's been announced, my hope and I can stick with my hope because that would have not changed even if it turns out to be different. I want to see 3 teams going for the belts at All Out. Of course, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page as the champions. I want the Young Bucks and I want FTR. I want it a 3-team. We potentially could go elimination, but I think a 1-fall would kind of work in this instance. And I want to see the start of the teases of the breakup with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page as they lose the belts. Maybe not even be involved in the decision, so they can kind of go, well, hang on, we didn't kind of get what we wanted here. But then at the same time, maybe it would be fun if one of them lost, because then we could continue this on with FTR and the Young Bucks going forward, and then we could have Omega versus Page. I think that would be quite good going into the following pay-per-view. So for me, that's kind of what I hope is the direction. But I mean, hopefully after checking out Dynamite, and of course in the following Dynamites that we've got to come, we will know the direction for the Tag Team Championships. But I think that would be solid booking. I hope that's the way they're going to go, and we'll find out as we continue to watch AEW. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Elite Jobbers with our next question now. Do you ever see AEW getting a 6-man tag belt? Well, it's certainly a potential. I wouldn't rule it out. We've had a lot of, 3-man stables or teams building together recently. Matt Hardy with Private Party. Of course, we've always had Being the Elite, of course, with Omega and the Young Bucks, which I imagine they will probably go back to at some stage. Of course, we had, Pac as well with Pentagon and Phoenix as well. So we have got some of these, potential to have trios matches. Also, we even seen with the Dark Order would be a possibility as well. So you've got a mini division already started there. So I would be totally in favour with it. But Chris Jericho has come out and said that he thinks there's too many championships in AEW. Does Jericho make all the shots? No, he doesn't. But I think he has a lot of stroke within the company. I think what they have right now, and he says he's happy with the amount of belts they've got. So at the moment, perhaps not in the foreseeable future, but I wouldn't rule it out. And I think it's something that would make them stand out. I mean, if you can perhaps not have the the FTW Championship, classic ECW belt. That for me doesn't feel like it means much. It's just a prop more than a championship. So if that's not around, maybe you can add the trios belts in, and then maybe I think that would be your limit for the time being in AEW. But do I see it in the near future? No. But is this something I could see somewhere down the line? Absolutely. I mean, they're doing, like I said, a lot of trios teams, and I think trios matches are fun. I really enjoy it, particularly when, watching like Lucha Libre, AAA, Lucha Underground, in the old days. Great fun, and, I'd be happy to see it brought to AEW. It'd be something to make them stand out. Next question comes from Jamie, the controversial one, Holmes. If you had to pick one AEW match where you felt the wrong person won. Well, that's simple. Any prediction I've ever got wrong in a predictions video, that is the ones that were wrong. But no, to be serious for you, I think there's 2 that stand out, and I'll tell you which one I think at the end. I mean, if you look at Lance Archer, when he didn't win the TNT Championship against Cody, he's kind of got lost since in the shuffle. He does destroy people backstage, but we haven't seen him a lot on Dynamite destroying people in the ring, and I kind of feel like he's lost a lot of momentum. So you could say, from all that momentum that had been built up, I really think that maybe they might have dropped the ball with Lance Archer, because it's good and key in one way, and I kind of contradicted myself from earlier in the video as saying that they've got a good way of making people strong and weak. A couple of people have come off worse from a few championship matches, and I do think that Lance Archer is one of them. The other one is Brian Cage. Now, I feel that him and Moxley, now you could turn and say it was geniusly way it was booked and a way to save Cage when he didn't win the championship, but I did think with someone like him, his look, his build, his gimmick, his style in the ring, if he was going to be going for the championship, I felt he should have won it on the first go, personally. It's just my opinion, but I think he should have done. So my excuse is I'm kind of happy we saw the match, but I am going to say that I think that the real problem was the Casino ladder match. I don't think he should have won that. I think he should have debuted somewhere else. He could have destroyed people in the card, and I think then maybe he could have worked his way up the ladder to a championship match at some point in the next 12 months. I think as well, from the point he was coming into the match, it was obvious he was going to win it. I really enjoyed the Casino ladder match. I thought it was awesome. I hope they do it again. But I do think that Brian Cage, looking back at it, because he got a championship match straight away and he just debuted, I think that was the biggest mistake they've made so far. Next question comes from Freshly Squeezed, the Champion. Loving that username. What are your thoughts on the Matt versus Sammy Guevara rivalry so far? Well, as I said earlier in the video, I haven't seen this week's Dynamite as of yet. Unfortunately, just not had the timing to do so. But leading up to it, it's been unfortunate, of course. I mean, with the speaking out stuff, Sammy Guevara had to take some time off TV. It was the right thing to do. He's now made a comeback, and there was a little bit of a bad incident with him and Matt Hardy. Of course, the wrong steel chair was used, and of course, Matt Hardy was bleeding hard. But they've used it as good, typical fashion into the storyline. Now, I do believe that these two have got good chemistry. I mean, you've only got to look back to when Matt Hardy was kind of broken and was driving the golf buggy and more or less run him over. Guevara, that is. It was a lot of fun. That was great, and I do feel that was a great starting block. And I think that these two can build to something really special. I just think with what's happened in the world in the last couple of months, it has harmed the momentum of this feud. I do think as we get to All Out, I do think that it's going to build back up again. I do think that it's going to get good, and I think it's going to be a fun viewing. But in the meantime, for me, I would say that it's been more lackluster than what it could have been, but that's purely been out of reasons or beyond AEW's booking control and just, from what's happened in life, basically. As I say, I think it was right Sammy Guevara took the time off when he had to be taken off TV. Now that he's back, there's been one unfortunate incident, but I do think now they can perhaps build it and make it something fun as we go into All Out. Next question comes from Straight Edge Josh. Which wrestler has the better mic skills, Steve Austin or CM Punk? What are you doing to me, Josh? Honestly, how am I supposed to answer that one? Two of the best of all time, may I just add. It depends what you're after, really. I mean, you look at the two styles. I mean, Austin, very much, giving you the what chance. CM Punk gives you the pipe bomb. What's your preference? But, Steve Austin's always brought fun to a lot of promos. He can hit hard. And they're from two different eras as well. I mean, Steve Austin could swear, could do, all sorts of things to get the crowd on side with just, eat out of the palm of his hand. But CM Punk had that magic as well without being able to swear all the time. But, I mean, Steve Austin's was kind of almost like, real digs and really sort of, giving it to the person, where CM Punk, you could argue, was more of a complainer a lot of the time. So, they do have different styles in the promos, but I mean, I'm going to be honest, I love both of their work. So, I mean, it's down to what you prefer. I mean, if I had to be put on the spot, which is what you've done here, so cruelly, I might add, I'm going to go for Steve Austin. But, I mean, both of them are two of the best mic talkers of all time. I think I can only think of, they'd be my top five, both of them. Ric Flair and The Rock are probably two others I'd put in there. And it's hard to perhaps think of another one to make a top five right now, but two of them are in my top five. And that one's a toughie. And the last question this week comes from Tire World Order. Impact has revealed that they will be adding a large amount of new talent to the roster to showcase on a soon-to-be revitalized Xplosion. Along with excellent weekly interviews from David Penza, what else would you like to see on a refreshed Xplosion over the next month? That's an awesome question, and just to go in, there was a comment added from Ty in that as well, saying that Ty would like to see at least one knockouts match. Now, I believe we talked about this previously, and we even discussed about a knockouts show, and I think that would be awesome. Xplosion would be a great way to expose, they've got such depth of talent in the women's division, and it would be a great way to showcase all of them, because they've only got 2 hours a week for Impact, so they probably could do and use Xplosion. I like the idea of the weekly interviews. I like the fact of finding ways of getting your talents over with an audience that is different to any other way. And sometimes you can do it in ring. Sometimes a nice interview is a great way of getting personality over. And I like that. Whether it's something about their character, something that's got them into wrestling, something that's, kind of been personal to them. It's something I loved about NXT's TakeOver last night. Bronson Reed having the Bam Bam Bigelow attire. I just love that. I love that Damian Priest went under the ladder, a la Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels. I thought that was awesome. It was great character development because I got something personally connected to that character. It made me want them to win. I like that with those interviews. But I think you need to utilise the talent that can't get on the Impact Wrestling weekly TV show. If there's people that are struggling for TV time, this is their way to get them in. Xplosion is the place to do it. I love the way that AEW have used Dark. I mean, I know it's basically people beating enhancement talent. You could say that we've been kind of desensitized to it in 2020 with a lot of WWE programming, other programming. They like to see the best versus the best on a weekly basis, and we kind of get, well, what's the point? We know who's going to win. But at the same time, I like that we have that enhancement talent there, because that way people can get a consistent winning record, and I think that that's really strong. It's nice to see people winning on a weekly basis because it adds to their reputation. And then you look at superstars when they come in on Impact Wrestling on their main weekly show, and you'll see them have a shot rather than actually thinking, well, this person's lost the last 4 times they've been on Impact Wrestling, but now they've been on Xplosion, they've won 4 or 5 matches in a row, they come to this match here against a creditable opponent, and you start to think, well, they're on a winning streak, this could go either way, and it's good for that unpredictability factor. So for me, you need to actually help the talent that can't get on, build them much stronger, and I think that you make a stronger roster, like you say, with new people coming in, and with the current roster you've got, that helps build as well. I think that it's all positive direction here on out for Impact Wrestling. But that's all from me this week anyway, here on Ask SCW. Hope you enjoyed the Q&A as always. Make sure to check out the other videos. As I say, SummerSlam predictions are up for you right now. Check them out before the show. The NXT results and review are up as well. Check them out. I hope I made a lot of sense. I was doing that around 3 o'clock in the morning last night, so hopefully that did make some sense on that review. But I hope you enjoyed it. Do check out the other videos. Share with a friend. Please like, share, and subscribe. This has been SCW, the wrestling channel, here on YouTube.com. Take care and have a great day.